yes, the optics and on paper, he and Ron Rivera look very close, but I think the point that you made, and I think we've been hammering it on social media and on the radio and everywhere else, is Dan Quinn is not in charge of player personnel. And that's the biggest thing that Ron Rivera failed at in his time here. So I don't want to hear the comparisons between those two guys. I think that Dan Quinn can work.
I think you got to separate that, because comparing Quinn and Rivera, I think, is legit. I think there's a lot of comparisons. Like, they're both defensive leadership coaches coming from the NFC South, both took a team to a Super Bowl and lost. Like, I think comparing them as coaches holds water. I think the huge thing that maybe Quinn has a better chance of succeeding here is because he's not in charge of personnel or rebrands or anything else. Like, he's just supposed to be coaching. And ideally, he's got a highly competent professional GM selecting the players. Like in Seattle, maybe it was Quinn, but maybe it's just because they were loaded with talent. And this Dallas defense, pretty damn loaded with talent.
I mean, yeah, listen, if you want to hate the pick, you're going to easily be able to point to they didn't succeed without Kyle. They didn't succeed. You know, the Cowboys defense gave up 42 points to Jordan Love. You're going to be able to pick and choose. He's not a perfect candidate by any means. And that's why it's kind of a meh hire. It's a medium hire. To me, I would rather hire a guy like Dan Quinn who has that leadership gravitas, which we've talked about here. I liked Raheem Morris a lot, kind of for those same reasons, than throwing a lot of money at a guy that I feel like is probably not quite ready, like Bobby Slowick or Dave Canales or whoever else, you know, some of the other, you know, young guns might have been. I think that Dan Quinn has a better chance of succeeding here than a situation where you overpay an offensive guy who may not be ready yet.
Fair. I don't care about the money. It's not my money. There's no salary cap. Throw all the money. Dan Quinn might work here, right? I'm not like, I can also see how you arrive with new ownership, brand new GM, likely a rookie quarterback. Maybe we want somebody with experience in the building. Like I can wrap my head around that. Dan Quinn isn't a bad coach. Like, this thing's not going to capsize and be terrible.
You gotta always be careful about that. You can always go further down the abyss. We know that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he did get fired in Atlanta after starting 0-5 after a pair of 7-9 seasons. So maybe
the season before he was 1-7 before he turned it around and finished 7-9. So I mean, there are certainly marks against him. I think one thing that you can laugh at, or at least, you know, chuckle at, is folks were super excited when Mike Shanahan got hired. Folks were super excited when Jay Gruden got hired. He was a young hotshot. Folks were excited about Ron Rivera. He was going to bring stability. None of that worked when fans were excited about it. So, hey, this is the one that fans are super upset about and screaming their heads off. Maybe it's the one that finally ends up working.